Everyone. Thanks for joining this discussion about AAL. I'm here to give you some background on what it is, why we have it, and what are some of the goals that drive this feature. A common source of user friction is the secondary Roku device setup process. Along with this is when a user purchases a second Roku device for their household and links the device to the same their household Roku account. While the user's going through, after the user goes through the initial Roku device linking, the end user must then log in or link the new device to the various channel services that they subscribe or belong to. Some users we found may not complete this channel login process due to setup fatigue, or perhaps they lack the credentials to log into the channel itself, as they may not be the primary service account owner in the household. So to alleviate this, we've developed a set of SDK APIs to help channel partners develop a single sign-on solution for their channel and service. Desired goal is to increase channel engagement by reducing the friction involved with re-logins to many channels during the secondary device setup process. The Roku OS SSO feature is named Auto Account Link, AAL, and was available starting in OS 8.1 and became a certification requirement in late 2018. The APIs themselves are pretty straightforward, but I'll go over them here. The two APIs are essentially a get and a set. The get API retrieves back, which some developers may already be familiar with, the Roku puck ID, the partner unique customer identifier. Think of this as a user channel unique identifier. And then any stored data that was pushed up by the second API, which I'm about to talk about. The store channel cred data receives a data parameter as a string. And this data is the channel proprietary data, whether it's a token or an authentication artifact or any authentication metadata or token that is used by the channel itself to authenticate to the channel services. This data is then encrypted on the device and pushed up into the Roku Cloud Store. And if you think of this with a database mindset, the puck ID is the primary key for accessing this. So this is a flow diagram of how it works. When a channel is launched, the first one of the first decisions on authentication would be to check if the channel has a local stored credential. If it's a new device, there will be nothing in the local persistent storage. So the SDK API get channel cred will be called, and it will check to see if there's anything stored in the cloud. If there is, then the channel can proceed to use that access token. It's possible that the token has expired or the service needs to refresh it, and then some other channel method can be used to refresh that. But if the access token is active and valid, then the user can proceed. The channel can proceed with the login of the account holder. If the token is not there, then from get channel cred, then the channel should proceed with the standard login, either by a rendezvous style or by direct username password linking. And once that authentication process is complete, the SDK API store channel cred data should be called to store the authentication token for the next channel launch. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Ani. So we can move over to Q&A now. There's the Slido QR code on screen. And here it is again. I'm going to take over screen share here so we can see the questions that have come in. Dennis, if you would like to go ahead and unmute your audio and video as well. That way you can help out with the questions too. So yeah, I'll just get going with the questions. So the first one that came in is, what is the criteria used to store data in the store channel cred data call?
Yeah, so maybe I can talk about this. So the data, right, that usually is a token or some other authentication artifact is stored per channel. So if you use one channel and you have to be on the second device, you have to be on the same channel, and you'll be able to share this token. So that's the answer. The criteria is the channel or the channel ID.
Excellent. The next question is whether or not AAL can only be used by channels that offer subscriptions.
Yeah, I'll talk about this one too. So no, so all kinds of channels can use AAL. So the APIs will work for any channels, even channels that are not subscription based, like AVOD that monetize by advertisement, or TV channels can also use the AAL APIs.
Awesome. The next question was around whether or not you can test AAL in a side-loaded environment.
Okay, so yes. Although AAL is not just for subscription or billing, the AAL can be tested on a siloed channel using the use for billing test feature. So we have some docs we can share later, or you can go to the automatic accounting page in the developer docs, and it has a section with instructions on how to set up the automatic accounting testing with sideloaded channel.
Awesome. The next question is whether AAL is the only permissible way to do SSO on the Roku platform, or if partners can use their own proprietary SSO.
Right. I mean, for most partners, I believe they will use the Roku AAL APIs. But if the partner has their own ways of doing this, if they have their own infrastructure for single sign-on, it's okay. They can go ahead and use it.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add to that. As Dennis said, if the channel partner, if you have your own backend methods of doing SSO across devices, then we're totally supportive of that. I think the goal here is the end user experience should be the same. That if you use our SSO APIs, you can leverage our cloud store to retrieve those access tokens. But if you have your own method of doing that, using perhaps the puck ID as a key identifier, and the end user experience of a secondary device is SSO'd into into the channel after setup, then it satisfies the requirement.
Awesome. Cool. So the next question is, do I need to show some kind of signing in message when the user automatically logs in from another device, or is that going to be obvious in the end user experience?
Yeah, it's optional. I mean, some partners post a message, right, saying that, okay, so you are signed on and you can start using it. But other partners, they just go straight to the content. It's like you were signed in before, like you signed in on the first device, so now you can just go ahead and go to the content.
Right. So Marcelo asks, what would be the best flow to migrate existing channels that don't use AAL to use it with as minimal disruption to customers as possible?
Yeah, so on this one, so Ani already shared a flow there. So we have like a bit more detail on the on-device authentication, on the on-device authentication documentation page. So we have a sample flow there that you can use. So basically you would do something similar as you do right now. You would check your registry if the token is there. You would check if the account is from Roku Pay. And at the end, or at some point, you would add a check for the token if it's in the Roku Cloud or not, using the AAL API, right? Get channel credit. And if it's not, then you would store it. And next time someone would come and would have the on the other device, you would have the credentials ready and the single sign-on would work. So it's probably better explained by looking at the flow chart, but that's the basic idea.
Okay, awesome. Sasa asks, or I guess more of a comment, but Sasa mentions that the AAL documentation can be improved. Nowhere is it mentioned that it requires enrollment in the Roku Partner Payouts program, even for AVOD channels. Yeah, so I can actually speak to this one. As to whether or not that's in the docs, we can go look at that, and if it's missing, we can certainly add that. Oh, it just got bumped down. Yeah, in general, I think the idea is that so there's a couple APIs that require being enrolled in the partner payouts program. If the AAL is one of them, you may be familiar that RFI is another one. The idea is that if we're going to be in any way sharing information, we want to know that there is a monetary relationship between the accounts. And I think that's the blocker here, but we can go check whether or not that's in the documentation. I don't know, Dennis, if you have anything to add to that.
So we thought that there was an internal discussion, right? If the AAL was require the partner payouts or even set the monetization to subscription. But then we verified that the AAL APIs, they do not require monetization or being enrolled in the payouts program. But so Adrian, right? If you're still seeing this, you should reach out to us and we can work on it, because it shouldn't be. The RFI, yes, the get user data, you need to be enrolled, but we believe the AAL APIs, you don't need to be enrolled in partner payouts.
Yeah, Sasa, you can go ahead and ping me in the Roku developers, the Roku Developer Summit Slack channel. We can see what's going on there with that one. And then so Adrian writes, with rendezvous linking no longer allowed, what is the solution for social logins? So I think social logins presumably referring to like using Facebook as a authentication service or something along those lines.
Yeah, so I think the certification requirements ask for on-device signing. So yeah, I think there is no solution for social logins at the moment. We recommend that you use the RFI for signing. That will help reduce the number of clicks.